Friendship multiplies the good in life and divides the evil. Baltasar Gracian.
Welcome back to the homestead, y'all. This is the top 5 mistakes I made on our tomato grow this year. This is the tomato grow at the end of our old chicken coop. You can go back and watch the videos that I've posted all year on this grow. It did great this year, but I made some mistakes that I'm not gonna make next year. So I'm gonna share those with you today, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. And the first mistake that I made was I planted too many plants in this area. It's 16 feet by 12 feet, and I planted 14 plants in here, and I'll not do that again, because that kind of leads into the second mistake that I made. Was I underestimated how tall these plants were gonna get. So by planting 14 plants in here, the plants in front of it were shading the other plants, and then the plants in the middle didn't get any sun at all down to the bottom. So they didn't produce as many tomatoes on the inside as they did on the outside of the run. On the outside, they produced plenty of tomatoes, but on the inside, where they didn't get as much sun, they didn't produce as many tomatoes. So next year, I'm only gonna plant 4 plants in this 12 by 16 foot area, just 4. Okay, the third mistake I made was I underestimated how tall these plants were gonna get. I was thinking they might get 6, 7, 8 feet tall. My goal was 8 feet for this year. They ended up getting 12 feet tall before the cages finally started to collapse and fall over. I had strings holding them up. I had all kinds of things holding them up. So that's the third mistake I made. The fourth mistake I made was my tomato cages weren't strong enough to hold them up. So this year I'm gonna do it a little bit different. I'm gonna use cattle panels, which are heavier gauge wire, they're stiffer, and I'm gonna use rebar. And I'm gonna weld some rebar together and then wire the cattle panels to the rebar. So hopefully next year I won't make that same mistake again. They'll be able to support the weight, and I'll be able to grow 12-foot tall tomato plants, or hopefully taller than that. And the fifth mistake I made was my wire wasn't tall enough to keep our chickens out of it all summer long. Now, some of the smaller chickens stayed out just fine, but some of the bigger chickens could jump right over. We free range our chickens during the day, put them up in the coop at night. So next year I'm gonna put a taller, I just have a 4-foot fence around it. So I'm gonna put a 6-foot fence around this next year, so hopefully my chickens won't be jumping in there and eating my tomatoes. So if you have any questions or comments, or if you have mistakes that you made growing your tomatoes, please leave them below so that way we can all learn from each other. Thanks for watching.